Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter-Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
A fun hour ahead from the last season of The-Aldrich-Family, starring Bobby Ellis as Henry. 70 years ago, March 15th, 1953, Henry trying to do his Latin homework. Yeah. We thank you for tuning in on this Wednesday, and you know what that means. 15th day of March, 74th day of the year, 291 days remaining. Today, the Ides of March. And for many years, this was the date that your income taxes were due. In 1493, on this date, Christopher Columbus returned to Spain after his first trip to the Americas. Maine became the 23rd state of the Union on this date in 1820. President Wilson sent 12,000 U.S. troops over the Mexican border to pursue Pancho Villa in 1916. Broadway musical My Fair Lady opened in New York City on this date in 1956. Rex Harrison, Julie Andrews heading up the original Broadway cast. 1963, Victor Fegner, a federal prisoner, put to death at the Fort Madison, Iowa prison. It would be the last execution of a federal prisoner until the execution of Timothy McVeigh in 2001. President Johnson, responding to the Selma crisis, told Congress on this date in 1975, "We shall overcome," while advocating the Voting Rights Act.
The bill that I am presenting to you will be known as a civil rights bill. But in a larger sense, most of the program I am recommending is a civil rights program. Its object is to open the city of hope to all people of all races.
President Johnson on this date in 1965. It was signed into law by the president during the height of the civil rights movement on August 6th of 1965. 1972, the film version of Mario Puzo's The Godfather novel of the same name released in theaters. 1972, it went on to become considered one of the greatest films of all time. Department of Veterans Affairs established on this date in 1989. 1998, Titanic defeated Star Wars for the number one place in the North American domestic box office, grossing $471 million. On this date in 1998, Kathleen Woolley alleged on the TV news program 60 Minutes that Bill Clinton had sexually assaulted her over 4 years earlier on November 29, 1993, during his first term as president.
I remember saying to him, "Aren't you afraid that somebody's going to walk in here?" And he said, "No, I'm not." And then he took my hand and he put it on him.
According to Willie, during a meeting in the private study off the Oval Office, Clinton had embraced her tightly, kissed her on the mouth, fondled her breast, and then placed her hand on his manhood. Clinton denied assaulting Willie. Passing away on this date in history, musician Lester Young, football player, broadcaster Tom Harmon, pediatrician and writer Dr. Benjamin Smock, baby doctor Johnny Carson. You say, he's a little baby doctor. Also actress Ann Southern. I'm so glad we've gotten some copies of her program Maisie from the 1950s. It was such a fun little show. Actor, director, producer Ron Silver and David Brenner, all passing away on this date in history. This is the birth date of President number 7, Andrew Jackson, musician Lightnin' Hopkins, actor McDonald Carey. These are the days of our lives. Joe E. Also McDonald Carey played Dr. Christian on television. The original Dr. Christians, and I don't remember the exact relationship, but he was I believe he was his nephew. Also actor Joe E. Ross, born on this date in history. Band leader Harry James, wonderful trumpeter. Carl Smith, born on this date. Astronaut Alan Bean and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, all born on this date in history. From Taxi and Dear John, Judd Hirsch still with us at 88. He wins the award today, but he has to share it with Jimmy Swaggart, who also turns 88 today. From the Grateful Dead, Phil Lesh is 83. The Beach Boys' Mike Love is 82. Sly and the Family Stone leader Sly Stone, 80 years old. Ry Cooder is 76, the guitarist. Twisted Sisters Dee Snider, twisted at 68. Poison's Brett Michaels is 60. Sugar Ray's Mark McGrath is 55. From the Young and the Restless and Desperate Housewives, Eva Longoria still looking fabulous at 48. And the Black Eyed Peas' Will.i.am is 48. Those just a few of the people celebrating birthdays on this 15th day of March. And if this is your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
And from 70 years ago, March 15th, 1953, Bobby Ellis is Henry Aldrich in the Aldrich Family. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on this Wednesday right here on your favorite radio station. One of the things about this run of the Aldrich Family starring Bobby Ellis is that many of these episodes and many of these scripts had been produced earlier by Ezra Stone and Jackie Kelk. And Bobby Ellis did as good a job as he could as Henry Aldrich. They're still delightful scripts. From 70 years ago on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, The Aldrich Family, March 15th, 1953.
Henry Aldrich!
Coming, Mother.
Yes, it's The Aldrich Family is transcribed, written by Clifford Goldsmith. Whatever your teenage years were, hectic, adventuresome, or shining, you can never forget them. They're an important part of you. And whenever you go back to them in memory, you'll always find a typical boy like Henry Aldrich right in the middle of them. The scene opens at the Aldrich telephone. The time is evening.
Hello? Hello, is this Lucy Smith?
Yes.
Lucy, this is Henry. Did I by any chance leave my Latin book at your house this afternoon? Well, you sure I didn't leave it out in your kitchen? Well, has your mother been in or around your refrigerator lately?
Henry, ask her whether she's seen my Latin book, too.
Homer, keep quiet. Hello, Lucy. Look, if you do find one, could you give me a ring?
Henry, does she think she can find it?
Goodbye. Homer, do you realize that whenever I talk on the phone, all you do is stand there and ask questions?
Well, gee whiz, you never tell me anything. Who are you going to call next?
Never mind. Hello?
Oh, who, Henry? Can't you tell me who?
Number, please.
Operator, give me Elm 227.
Elm 227.
Henry!
Mother, I think I'm on the trail. You just go on reading your paper.
Henry, do you mean to say you haven't found your Latin book yet?
Well, not yet exactly, Mother.
Well, you better not let your father hear you haven't found it. Well, there isn't anything to worry about, Mrs. Aldrich. It'd be different if we didn't know where we went today. Well, just the same, Henry better find it in a hurry.
Hello?
Hello, Aunt Harriet. This is Henry.
Henry who?
Henry, your nephew. Don't you remember, Aunt Harriet?
Oh, yes. Hello?
Hello. Look, have you happened by any chance to see Cicero around your house?
Oh?
Cicero. Yeah, we've been studying him this year.
Oh, you know, what color was it?
Just a minute. Homer, what does our Latin book look like?
What do you mean? Like a book?
What color? What color?
Is it black?
Black? I thought it was sort of... It's sort of...
Henry, it's brown, isn't it? A nice sort of brown with Cicero printed on it.
Hello, Aunt Harriet. Brown. And there were two of them, Homer's and mine.
Has she seen them, Henry?
Well, have you been in or around your refrigerator lately?
Oh, no, I didn't sound the same thing.
I'll ask her whether she's had her dinner yet.
Thanks, Aunt Harriet. Goodbye.
Henry?
Homer, be looking up another number.
Henry?
Yes, Father?
You and Homer still out there at that phone?
Henry, I think I'll go outside and sit on the front porch for a while.
Yeah, but Homer...
Henry!
Yes, Father, just a minute.
Number, please.
It's just a question of time, and I'll have the darn thing.
Number, please.
Operator, give me Elm 344.
Elm 344.
Yes, please.
The whole trouble is, Henry, that you don't pay attention to anything you do. Here it is the night before you have to get an 88 on an examination to bring your average up to passing.
Father, I don't like to contradict you, but all I need to pull me through is a flat 85. I spent nearly an hour this afternoon figuring it out.
Hello?
Hello, Eleanor, this is Henry.
Oh,
Instead of figuring out a thing like that, you should have been looking for your Latin.
Just a minute, Eleanor. Sure, Father, I agree with you absolutely. Eleanor, have you seen my Latin book?
Has she?
Yes. No. Eleanor, when we were in your kitchen and we put the ice tray back, did we put anything else in with it? Well, like a Cicero.
What'd you do this afternoon? Visit every refrigerator in town?
Oh. Well, goodbye, Father. Eleanor.
You see that, Henry? Your mind isn't on a single thing you do.
Father, this isn't a result of anything my mind did.
I agree. It's what your mind doesn't do.
But, Father, don't you see? There's a swell chance I may not even need my Latin book tonight.
Why not?
Because I'm not even sure we're going to have an exam tomorrow.
What do you mean by that?
Well, Homer, isn't there a possibility that we don't have an exam until day after tomorrow?
Henry, you've asked me that 3 times. Miss Wheeler said it was tomorrow's second period, and that's all there is to it.
Are you sure, Homer? Because my father's standing right here. Quosque tandem abuteri Catalina patientia nostra. There, Homer, what does that mean?
Go on and finish it.
I have finished it. Quosque tandem abuteri Catalina patientia nostra. That means, Homer, how long will you abuse our patience, O Cataline?
It does?
Sure. Now, can you give it to me?
Sure. Oh, Cataline. Oh, Cataline. Henry, could you read it again, please?
The whole thing?
Well, of course not the whole thing. Do you think I'm dumb? Just give me the first word.
Quosque.
Oh, yes, quosque.
Look, Homer. Does this give you any hint as to what it is? When you measure something, what's the first thing you want to know?
Where's the ruler?
No, Homer. Supposing you've got the ruler, what's the next thing you want to know? What is it you ask yourself?
Henry, are you sure that's Cicero you're reading?
Sure, Homer, sure. It's your own book. Didn't my mother just find it down in the preserve closet? Now listen carefully and see whether this brings back anything. Quosque tandem abutere.
Give me one more clue.
Homer, if I give you any more, I'll have given you the whole thing.
Well, no, I won't, Henry. Honest, I won't. Cataline is measuring something. I know that.
No, Homer.
Listen, Henry, how long are you going to hold out on me?
Homer, you got the whole thing.
What whole thing?
Well, you just said it. How long will you abuse our patience, Cataline?
Well, Henry, I knew that part all right, but is that all there is to it?
Sure, it's as easy as rolling off a log.
Henry!
Let's not talk so loud, Homer. My folks have gone to bed. Now for the next one.
Henry, are you sure tomorrow's exam covers the first 3 orations?
Well, I heard her say the first 3. Now listen. Abit, excessit, evacit, erupit. Homer, it means he departed, he withdrew, he went out, he broke forth.
Sure, that's just what I was going to say.
You're crazy.
I am not. I knew it all the time.
All right, I'll read it again. Abit, excessit, evacit, erupit. What does it mean?
What's so tough about that?
All right, tell me what it means.
Sure. He came in, he fell down, he got up, he fell down again. Now, is that someone calling?
No, I don't think so.
Well, okay, shoot me another. I'm getting hot.
Henry, do you realize what time it is?
What time, Mother? Well, it's just a little after 10, isn't it?
It's 20 minutes to 12, and you promised me that if I let Homer stay here overnight, you'd behave yourselves.
But, Mother, all we've been doing is sitting here quietly with Cicero.
Sure, Mrs. Aldrich.
I'm sorry, but you were talking as loud as you could. And what's more, it doesn't seem to me that you should have to study as late as this.
But, Mother, you have no idea what a stiff exam Miss Wheeler can give.
Well, it shouldn't be stiff if you'd paid attention.
Alice, will you please come to bed?
Sam, I'm talking to the boys.
I'd like to get back to sleep.
Mother, I have paid attention, but Miss Wheeler double-crossed us.
I'll say she did.
What do you mean she double-crossed you?
Well, Mother, she stood up in class after we're almost through with the last 3 orations of Cicero and announces that the examination will cover the first 3.
Sure, and we haven't looked at those since last term.
And she didn't give you any advance warning?
No, Mrs. Aldrich, not since February.
Sure. And here we are stuck when we ought to be in bed.
Henry, go to bed!
Yes, Sam, he's going.
But, Mother, don't you realize that if we don't study this, our whole year's work will be in vain? And Father, you know what Father's going to do.
But, Henry...
And, Mrs. Aldrich, this is one course I don't want to have to take over again.
Homer, I'd like to say something to both of you.
But listen, Mother...
Now, wait, Henry, let me explain this to her.
Oh, listen, Homer. What does this mean? In Romuli Fice.
What that means? Among the dregs of Romulus.
Good, that's swell. How about Homer? Homer, are you asleep?
Listen, Henry, stop shaking me.
Not so loud, Homer. Do you want you wake my folks?
I wasn't talking loud.
Well, you are now, and it's 10 minutes to 2. Okay. Give me that last sentence again. Homer, why don't we be sensible? Why don't we set the alarm for 7 o'clock and finish in the morning? Homer? Homer, do you realize you've got your head right in the middle of my collection of rocks? And Homer, some of those are valuable.
What? Give me that sentence again, Henry.
Didn't you hear what I said, Homer?
Rocky or what?
I said, let's quit and go down and get something to eat.
Oh, boy. Do you have any breakfast cereal? You know, the kind I like?
Sure. I think I'll have some myself. With plenty of milk on it.
And cream.
Oh, wait till I set this alarm for 7.
Listen, Henry, how about setting it for 5 after 7? I need to sleep.
Homer, we've got work to do.
Good breakfast, Alice.
What time is it, Sam?
20 minutes after 9. I ought to be at the office by now.
My goodness, I ought to be getting ready to go out myself.
It's a wonder either one of us woke up this morning after being kept awake all night by the boys. What time did they finally stop wrestling?
Sam, they weren't wrestling.
Alice, I heard them myself. Homer kept yelling at the top of his lungs. He'd come in, he'd fall down, he'd get up. Then he'd do it all over again.
Now, dear.
Oh, didn't you hear them? How'd they look when they had breakfast?
Well, I didn't see them at breakfast. They must have come down quite early.
Yes?
Yes, I was just going to call them when I happened to find their cereal dishes out by the sink. And, Sam, I have never been so upset about anything in all my life.
What about?
Why, imagine their Latin teacher giving them an exam they had to sit up half the night studying for.
I still say that if Henry had paid attention, a thing like that wouldn't happen.
Dear, under ordinary circumstances, I'd agree with you. But their teacher double-crossed them. Henry explained the whole thing to me.
Shh, Alice.
Yes, Sam?
Listen. Did I hear someone moving around upstairs?
Well, I certainly don't hear anything. It couldn't be Mary. She left the house at least 10 minutes ago. And, Sam, you didn't let me finish. I'm going down and see Miss Wheeler today.
Who's Miss Wheeler?
Henry's Latin teacher. I think it's time I had a heart-to-heart talk with her.
Hey, Homer. Homer, wake up. Henry?
Hey, what's that? Did the alarm go off?
Not yet. I woke up about 5 minutes ago.
Gee whiz, is it raining out?
Not so loud, Homer. Do you want to wake up my whole family? It isn't raining. The shades are down.
Oh.
What time is it anyhow? There's the clock right there. 10 minutes to 7.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
What's the matter?
Oh, no. Well, I thought when I first looked at it said 25 minutes to 10.
It's a funny thing, Homer, but so did I. Come on, let's tiptoe down to the kitchen in our pajamas and get some breakfast.
All right. How about a little more of that cereal and some bananas?
We haven't got any bananas. Quiet now, Homer. As soon as we get through, we'll come back and finish studying.
Okay.
You know, it's funny, but I feel as refreshed as though I'd slept until 9 or 10 o'clock. Homer, don't trip on these stairs. You'll wake everybody up.
Henry asked me what quousque tandem and all that sort of thing means.
What does it mean?
It's how long will you abuse our patience, Cataline?
That's swell, Homer. Just a second while I put in a telephone call.
At this hour of the morning? Who are you going to call?
I think they'll be up by now.
Number, please.
Elm 753.
I beg your pardon?
Elm 753.
Elm 753.
Quiet! I mean, that's all right. Go ahead and ring them.
Henry, will you please tell me who you're calling?
Homer, I think I know where I left my Cicero yesterday. Remember when we dropped into Jimmy Bartlett's for a second?
Hello?
Hello, is this Mrs. Bartlett?
Yes?
Well, this is Henry Aldrich. Did you find a Latin book anywhere around your kitchen?
Henry, could you speak up a little?
Well, I would, Mrs. Bartlett, but I don't want to wake my folks up.
Oh, are they sick, Henry?
No, they're just getting a good night's sleep. I'll tell you, could I speak to Jimmy, please?
To Jimmy? He's left for school.
What's that?
Yes, of course. He left a long time ago.
Gee whiz, what time do you have to be there?
At 9 o'clock.
I know, but what time is it now?
It's 10:45.
Quarter to what? Homer, do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
Mother!
What time is it?
Mother!
Mary, I asked you what time it is.
Mother, Mary!
Mrs. Aldrich!
Mother!
March 15th, 1953, The Aldrich Family on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The news from 70 years ago today comes up following these messages from your favorite radio station. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow launching the MyPillow 2.0. Now, when Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he's discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better. Of course, the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, but now with brand new fabric with a temperature-regulating thread, it's the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. Say goodbye to tossing and turning and flipping your pillow over in the middle of the night. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer with my promo code Wyatt. MyPillow 2.0 is 100% made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Use my promo code Wyatt or call 1-800-928-4715. Thanks for spending part of your Wednesday with us here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We're listening to an episode of the Aldrich Family from their final season. Bobby Ellis as Henry Aldrich, as it was broadcast Sunday, March 15th, 1953. In the newspapers of that Sunday 70 years ago, these were some of the headlines. Britain ordered last night that her training planes in Germany be fully armed and provided fighter escorts when necessary, putting teeth into her protest against the destruction of a British bomber by Soviet MiG-15s Thursday. The Get Tough policy is in line with that of the U.S. Air Force, which lost a Thunderjet to Czech-flown MiGs on Tuesday. The biggest British Bomber Command exercise since the end of World War II will be held over the continent next week. William Howard Taft III, the Gaelic-speaking son of Senate Republican leader Taft, will be appointed ambassador to Ireland, that according to the White House. A spokesman said President Eisenhower will send the nomination to the Senate in the near future. Precise timing not discussed, although newsmen noted next Tuesday, sometimes called the 17th of Ireland, is St. Patrick's Day. 3 tornadoes tore at Arkansas and Mississippi yesterday in the third day of crushing twisters that have killed 18 people. One twister whirled through Boonville, Mississippi, killing 1 man, and 2 tornadoes cut a 20-mile swath of damage in north-central Arkansas, injuring 7 persons. The twisters came on the heels of Friday the 13th tornadoes that killed 17 persons in west-central Texas and Oklahoma. From Tokyo, the Japanese Diet voted down 229 to 218 the pro-American government of Shigeru Yoshida last night, but instead of quitting as his opponents demanded, the 74-year-old prime minister made good his threat to carry his fight to the Japanese people. He dissolved the Diet and called for new elections April 19th, the date tentatively set for the Japanese to decide whether Yoshida has tied Japan's foreign policy too close to that of the United States and whether his internal program is tending to revert the country to a police state. American Medical Association delegates, acting after a friendship pledge from President Eisenhower yesterday, endorsed his plan to lift the Government Health and Security Agency to cabinet status. The AMA's House of Delegates kept its goal of a separate Department of Health, voting down a motion to give unqualified support to Eisenhower's proposal. The adopted resolution calls the plan a step in the right direction and offers the support of AMA as just that. Rather than submit secret FBI files to the court, the government has dismissed a draft evasion case against 22-year-old Arthur P. Clark, who maintains he is a conscientious objector. A reporter for the Arizona Republic of Phoenix, Richard M. Turk Smith, has been fined $50 for contempt of court in forging papers to have himself committed to the state hospital for the insane to obtain material for a series of stories. The Republican senator from Wisconsin, Joseph R. McCarthy, said yesterday his investigation subcommittee has asked the State Department for a list of all newspapers and periodicals used in its overseas information program and any money paid to them. He also told reporters that similar data has been requested about columnists and commentators, as well as a list of authors whose books have been placed in overseas libraries as part of the program to spread information about this country and thus to counter communist propaganda. A New York woman received quite a shock when she went out to get into her car, and the car sunk to its top in the pavement before she could get the door unlocked. Seems water from a broken main had undermined the street. Flogging his wife with a pink leather whip because she smoked brought a penalty of 10 strokes of the first strap and 50 days in jail for a 27-year-old Brantford, Ontario husband. And although California courts have held since the gold rush that draw poker is a skill, the state assembly has voted to outlaw it. And in Bismarck, North Dakota, sale or possession of candy packaged to resemble cigarettes will be forbidden in North Dakota, effective July 1st. Those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, March 15th, 1953, on your radio, The Aldrich Family, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Slow down away from me.
What's the matter with you, Homer? Can't you run?
Gee, was I dressed in such a hurry? Look at me. I got my shoes on the wrong feet.
Don't you realize the exam started 15 minutes ago?
Henry, wait, your pajamas are showing.
Where?
Below your pants. Stop and pull them up.
I haven't got time.
Henry, don't go in that door. That's the girls' entrance.
Homer, what difference does it make at a time like this? Come on.
We'll open it.
I'm trying to. It's locked.
Now, you see that? Now we've lost more time.
Wait, it's open. I forgot doors in schools open out.
Listen, Henry, don't you pay attention to anything.
But where are the stairs? Where are the stairs?
I don't know. How would I know where they are?
Homer, don't go through that door. That's the girls' gym.
Yeah, I know. Who's the swell-looking girl on the parallel bars? Hey!
Homer, quit it. Come on. Well, let's try this way.
Boy, are my feet blistered.
Same here. We should have brought our socks along with us. Come on up these stairs.
Henry, don't you see that sign that says down only?
Homer, stop criticizing everything and come on.
Where does that door go to?
Gee whiz, we're in the clear.
You mean we're outdoors again?
No, we're in the main hall. There's Miss Wheeler's room right over there.
Don't make so much noise. You wanted to notice us when we go in?
Wait a second, Homer. Wait a second. We gotta sign our names on this bulletin board before we go in.
Oh, yeah. Well, sign mine and hurry up.
Wait a second. Hey, Homer, how does my hair look?
Why worry about a thing like that?
You should see yours.
Just pull up your pajamas and come on.
Quiet, Homer, quiet.
Gee whiz, where's Miss Wheeler?
I don't know. Hey, Lucy.
What?
Where's Miss Wheeler?
She got called down to the office.
She did? Boy, are we in luck. Has the exam started?
Yes, the papers are up there on the desk.
Come on, Henry, let's get them and get started. The period's almost half through.
Boy, I wish I'd had time to eat some breakfast. My stomach's turning over.
Henry, your pajamas are slipping off, too.
The point is this, Miss Wheeler.
Yes, Mrs. Aldrich?
Well, I do appreciate your coming down here to the office when I know you're holding an examination upstairs. But don't you think there's something wrong when a boy has to study half the night and then get up practically before sunrise and study some more?
I do indeed, Mrs. Aldrich. And I hope you won't misunderstand. But my observation has been that Henry doesn't pay as much attention as he should.
Miss Wheeler, if Henry were the only one who had to study practically all night, it would be different. But Homer Brown stayed up just as late and was up again at sunrise.
Mrs. Aldrich, I hope you won't misinterpret what I'm about to say. But Homer Brown doesn't pay any better attention than your son does. And incidentally, if you would care to look on that desk, you'll find Henry's copy of Cicero. It was found in DeHaven's drugstore yesterday.
Oh, really? Oh, well, naturally, I realize Henry isn't perfect, Miss Wheeler. But don't you think that if a subject is made interesting, young people will take an interest in it?
I appreciate your frankness, Mrs. Aldrich. And I certainly hope you won't think I'm in any way criticizing. But when Henry finished his Caesar class last year, I went to Mr. Bradley and I told him I felt it was extremely unwise for us to permit him to take Cicero this year.
Just how do you expect Henry to get into college without Cicero?
By working, Mrs. Aldrich. By working very hard.
I see. Is there a public telephone here I might use?
Miss Shea, would you please show Mrs. Aldrich where the telephone is?
Well, there's a booth right over here in the corner, Mrs. Aldrich.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good day, Miss Wheeler.
Goodbye, Mrs. Aldrich.
What's the matter with her?
Is it my fault her son had to sit up all night getting ready for tomorrow's exam?
Tomorrow? I thought you were giving exams today.
I am, but only in Julius Caesar. Cicero is tomorrow.
We'll return to the Aldrich family in just a moment.
March 15th, 1953, the Aldrich family on this Wednesday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Coming up on Thursday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Sidney Greenstreet, The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe from 72 years ago, March 16th, 1951, The Case of the Midnight Ride. Archie Goodwin and Nero Wolfe's dentist are kidnapped and nearly killed on the trail of the elusive Gloria. A home disc recording provides the needed clue. That's coming up on Thursday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. But now the conclusion of the Aldrich family. Bobby Ellis, 70 years ago, March 15th, 1953.
Now, getting back to the troubles of Henry Aldrich. Due to the fact that Henry and Homer overslept this morning, they arrived at school 20 minutes late and have gone in to take the wrong Latin exam. Mrs. Aldrich, who assumes that they got up in time, has taken their side in the trouble that follows. This scene opens in the examination room.
Boy, oh boy.
Homer, not so loud. Henry, did you ever see a tougher exam?
I'll say.
I don't recognize any part of it.
Boy, Homer, am I hungry. I'm so hungry, everything's spinning.
Henry, have you answered any?
Not yet. Maybe these are on the pages we were going to study this morning, but didn't.
Hey, Henry, here's one I recognize. Here's one.
Which one is it?
Winnie Weedy Wiki.
What's that?
Well, sure, don't you remember? He came in, he fell down, he got up, he went out. Sure.
Homer, don't tell me. Don't tell me. That's cheating.
Excuse me, Mr. Bradley, but did you send for me?
Yes, Miss Wheeler. Come right in. Tell me, have you Henry Aldrich's and Homer Brown's examination papers with you?
No, I'm afraid I haven't. I sent the boys home with them.
Oh, dear. That's too bad.
I didn't know you wanted to see them, Mr. Bradley. I also gave Henry his copy of Cicero his mother left in the telephone booth.
Yes. Well, I'm sorry about the papers because Henry's father and Homer's father are dropping in for a talk in a few minutes.
You don't say so.
I thought they might find those examination papers rather enlightening.
You mean the fact that they took an exam in Caesar and thought it was in Cicero?
Yeah. But never mind. I've sent for Miss Johnson to come in. That will help some.
Yes, Mr. Bradley. You're referring, of course, to that awful thing Henry and Homer did this morning.
Yes, I am.
Well, I'm certainly glad you're going to report them. If Mr. Aldrich and Mr. Brown think for 1 minute that this school...
Excuse me, Mr. Bradley, but Mr. Aldrich and Mr. Brown are here to see you.
Thank you, Miss Shea. Please show them in.
Mother, could I have just one more sip, please?
Here you are, dear. Now, put your head back on the pillow.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just when did this awful headache begin, Henry?
Well, it's a funny thing, Mother. Just as I began taking that Latin exam, everything began to spin.
With me, Mrs. Aldrich, I began to spin... Boy, I'm still spinning.
Well, you just stay in that bed over there, Homer, and Henry, you stay in this bed, and you're both going to feel just fine.
And I don't have to go home and tell my folks that... I don't have to go home and tell them?
No, Homer, I'll phone them.
But when you do, Mrs. Aldrich, would you mind not mentioning my Latin exam? Because my father was sort of counting on me not having a breakdown until school was over for the year.
Alex!
Yes, Sam, are you back?
When Henry comes in, I want to see him.
He's right here, dear.
Tell him to come down here.
Why, Father?
Dear, he can't possibly come. You'll have to come up here.
Up there? Where is he? What's the reason he can't come down?
We're right here.
I want to have a talk with him.
Hello, Father.
Henry, what are you doing in your mother's bed?
Why,
And who's that in my bed?
Hello, Mr. Aldrich.
Now, Sam, let's not talk quite so loud. Both of the boys are feeling just terrible.
I should think they would. I should think they'd want to crawl right under the beds.
Why, Father?
Yes, I ought to take you out of school and put you to work.
Why, Sam Aldrich.
Alice, do you realize what's happened to me? Do you realize?
Well, dear, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Didn't you phone and ask me to go over and have a talk with Mr. Bradley? And didn't Will Brown and I go?
Oh, boy.
Now, dear, you're Henry's father. It was your duty to go and get things straightened out.
I got them straightened out, Alice. I have never been so humiliated, so chagrined.
So what, Mr. Aldrich?
We'll skip the fact that after studying Caesar for 2 years and Cicero for 1 year, you boys don't know the difference between the two.
Did they tell you about that?
They did.
Well, Father, it isn't as though I didn't know the difference. As a matter of fact, when I walked into the examination, I noticed all the faces were different.
Well, sure. We thought they were taking makeup exams.
Sam, what happened?
Alice, don't you get into this. I'm skipping the fact that you left Henry's Latin book in the phone booth.
Oh, is that where I left it?
Mother, how did you happen to do a thing like that?
We'll skip everything except 2 questions. First, what were you boys doing prowling through the girls' gymnasium trying to flirt? Flirt, mind you, with Miss Johnson, the girls' gym teacher.
When did we ever do that, Mr. Aldrich? When did we ever do that?
One of you even whistled at her.
Was that Miss Johnson on the parallel bars?
And second, who, may I ask, is going to pay for your tutoring during Easter vacation?
For tutoring, Father? What tutoring?
What do you mean, what tutoring? The tutoring that you signed up for.
Where, Mr. Aldrich?
On the bulletin board. I saw your signatures with my own eyes right outside the Wheeler classroom.
Is that what we signed?
Not for a course in Caesar. Not for a course in Cicero. But for a course in advanced trigonometry.
Trigonometry? Now listen, Henry, did you sign my name to that?
He did, Homer. And Henry, that's exactly what you get for not paying attention. I'll answer the phone. It's probably the police.
The police, Father? Did you report me to the police?
I did not. But on top of everything else, when I got home a few minutes ago, I found the car had been stolen.
Mr. Aldrich, I didn't even touch it. I've been right up here in bed all the time.
Sam, how could anyone have taken it out of our garage?
Hello?
Central High School. May I speak to Mr. Aldrich, please?
This is Mr. Aldrich. Now what's happened?
Mr. Aldrich, I'm sorry, but Mr. Bradley wants to know whether you could come down here and let him out.
Let him out? Let him out?
Yes, you left your car right in front of the driveway, and it's locked, and we can't move it.
Well, I'll be right over.
Sam, who was it?
Nothing, not a thing. They just found my car.
They did, Father? Where?
If you know what's good for you, young man, you'll get out of bed and study your Cicero. Right now.
But, Father, that's the beautiful part of it. We've got the first 3 orations all studied.
Henry, it might interest you to know that your examination tomorrow is not on the first 3 orations, but on the last 3.
The last 3?
The last 3, Mr. Aldrich? Gee whiz, what am I getting out of bed for?
Henry, that's the doorbell. You have your bathrobe on. Go down and see who it is.
Yes, Mother.
And here, take your Cicero.
Oh, yes, sure. Thank you very much. Come on, Homer.
Alice, I never want to live through another day like this.
You know, I had a feeling all the time you didn't pay any attention to what Miss Wheeler said about the exam.
Why? I, Henry? Oh, boy.
What's the matter?
Here, look through the window by the front door. Look who's out there.
Oh, boy, Homer, it's Miss Wheeler.
Henry, I'm going down to the basement.
Wait a second, Homer. You gotta stay here and face her.
How do you do, Henry?
How do you do, Miss Wheeler?
I'm very sorry to have to bother you, but do you happen to have those examination questions you answered today?
Oh, yeah, sure. They're right here in this Cicero.
Yeah, we've been sort of looking them over and realizing what a mistake we made.
Really? I don't know what that was. But when I gave them to you, I just wasn't paying attention. Did you read what was written on the back of them?
No, Miss Wheeler, we had a hard enough time reading what was on the front.
May I have them, please?
Oh, sure, here.
Thank you so much. These questions on the back are for your examination tomorrow. Goodbye.
What's that? You mean...
Listen, Homer, why don't you ever pay attention to anything?
The Aldrich Family is transcribed. It's written by Clifford Goldsmith. Henry is played by Bobby Ellis and Homer by Jack Grimes. Mr. and Mrs. Aldrich are House Jameson and Barbara Robbins. Your announcer is Dick Dudley. Listen again next week, same time, same station, for another sparkling half hour with the Aldrich Family.
Good night, everybody.
From March 15th, 1953, the Aldrich Family here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Please thank this station. Support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite radio station. Visit my friend Ted at radiomemories.com. Radiomemories.com. That's where Ted provides shows for you on cassette, CD, or flash drive for your computer. And also visit My Pillow. You can find the brand new My Pillow 2.0. It's buy one get one right now by going to mypillow.com and use my promo code Wyatt. Also, visit my webpage if you don't mind, classicradio.stream. Stream our shows. Learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. Contact me there. Find our social media links. And if you like, you can buy me a coffee. That buy me a coffee money goes toward helping us acquire additional classic radio collections. That's at classicradio.stream. Thanks for have a great Wednesday. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.